There are places where the noise fades on its own. Hangars like this are one of them. The air feels still, even when the station is busy, like the walls were built to hold the quiet in place. Second measure rests the way she always does, not waiting and not impatient, just ready. I have started to notice that about her. She never asks me to rush, and she never rewards me when I do. I came back here to think before I moved again. Not because anything was wrong, but because I have learned that is usually when you miss something. Out on the frontier, we did not treat preparation like a delay. We treated it like respect. Respect for the work, respect for the people who depended on it, and respect for the fact that your intentions matter even when the outcome does not go your way. Elias used to say that quiet does not mean empty. Quiet is where you hear the truth of what you are doing. It is where you notice habits you thought were harmless. It is where you decide what kind of pilot you are going to be today, before the universe gives you a reason to decide it in a hurry. Idle time felt like wasted time, but Elias never treated stillness that way. He treated it like a check you ran on yourself. If you felt uncomfortable slowing down, that usually meant you were trying to outrun something you did not want to look at yet. The contract appeared without ceremony, just another line item waiting to be acknowledged. No warning, no emphasis, no indication that it deserved more attention than any other. That alone made me slow down. The details were straightforward at first glance, but experience had already taught me not to trust first impressions. Distance, cargo type, margins, risk, none of it existed in isolation. Elias used to say contracts never tell you the whole story. They tell you enough to get you moving, and then rely on you to discover the rest on your own. I went through it again, this time looking for what was missing instead of what was written. This was not dangerous for the sake of danger. It was demanding, precise, and unforgiving of carelessness. Exactly the kind of work Elias believed revealed whether lessons had truly resonated. I moved into my checks the way Elias taught me to, slowly and without shortcuts. Power levels, system status, cargo capacity, each step taken in order and given its moment, nothing rushed. Nothing assumed. Elias used to say that speed makes pilots feel capable, but routine is what keeps them alive. Anyone can move fast when things are going right. Discipline is what shows up when pressure starts looking for mistakes. As I worked through the checklist, I felt myself settle into it. The repetition was not boring. It was grounding. It reminded me that preparation is not hesitation. It is respect for what can go wrong. There was comfort in knowing that nothing here relied on instinct alone. Every system had a place. Every confirmation meant one less unknown waiting outside the hangar. Elias believed that chaos only wins when you invite it in. And routines like this were how you kept the door closed, even when you knew it would not stay that way forever. Each confirmed system pulled my focus inward, away from noise and expectation. Preparation, I was learning, was not hesitation. It was respect for what could go wrong if I ignored it. Before I ever touched the controls, I thought more about the people who had handed me the contract. They were not fixers, and they were not recruiters. They were survivors. Pilots who had flown long enough to stop needing to explain themselves. Each of them carried a different kind of reputation, but they all shared one thing in common. They had trusted Elias when it mattered, not because he was the fastest or the boldest, but because he stayed when others left. Giving me that contract was not a favor, it was a continuation. A quiet agreement among people who believed Elias' standards still mattered, even now. Second measure lifted cleanly from Finch, systems steady and cargo secured. There was no rush in the departure, no sense that anything needed correcting. This was how Elias always wanted runs to begin: quiet, intentional. Without urgency trying to masquerade as confidence. At that moment, everything felt aligned. And I allowed myself to believe the hard part was already behind me. Leaving Finch took longer than I expected. Not because anything was wrong, but because departures from places like this are never rushed. Second measure climbed steadily. The station falling away behind us inch by inch. Its shape shrinking until it became just another piece of structure against the planet below. Watching it recede had a grounding effect. Finch was not dramatic or beautiful in the way some stations try to be, but it was honest. It did what it was built to do. And then it let you go without ceremony. Outside the canopy, Finch continued to shrink, becoming smaller with every second. From a distance, it was impossible to tell what happened inside. How many secrets and decisions passed through its corridors every day? That perspective mattered. Things feel urgent when you are in the moment. They feel small once you pull far enough away from it to see them in their entirety. As the gravity loosened its hold, I eased into the climb instead of forcing it. There was no reason to hurry, and no reward for leaving fast. Elias used to say that the climb out tells you more about a pilot than the jump itself. Anyone can point a ship away from a planet. It takes discipline to let the ascent finish cleanly, to resist the urge to rush ahead just because space is waiting. With clearance behind me and open space ahead, I turned my attention to the nav panel. Plotting the course was not complicated, but I treated it like it was. Destination confirmed, route calculated. I reminded myself that impatience often shows up disguised as efficiency, convincing you that skipping steps somehow saves time. Elias never believed that. He believed that every shortcut eventually sends you back to where you started, just with fewer options. As the route locked in, I let myself sit with it for a moment. No adjustments, no second guessing, just confirmation that everything was set the way it needed to be. Second measure held steady. Systems calm, waiting for the next instruction without protest. That steadiness was earned, not automatic, and I was learning to respect it instead of taking it for granted. With the course plotted and the climb complete, there was nothing left to do but commit. No rushing, no proving anything. Just the quiet understanding that the run had already begun the moment I chose to leave Finch. I was following the advice in my memories of Elias saying, "Do it the right way." I dropped into the system cleanly. The nav beacon came up on the panel. I selected the beacon and made my way there. I completed the scan, watching the system resolve itself piece by piece. There is something grounding about that moment, letting information come to you instead of chasing it. With the data in, I plotted the course to Thoreau City, confirmed the route, and gave the ship time to align. Everything was where it needed to be. Now it was just a matter of following it. The route to Thoreau City was straightforward. No threats, no alerts, no reason to second-guess anything. I stayed disciplined, followed procedures, and let the ship do what she was built to do. It felt like the kind of run you barely remember afterward. The kind that reinforces the idea that preparation is enough. And then I overshot the city, not because of a failure, not because of danger, simply because I stopped paying attention at the wrong moment. There was something humbling about that realization. Nothing broke, nothing went wrong. I just moved past where I was supposed to be, as if patience had slipped through my hands without making a sound. Docking control put me in a queue, and for the first time on the run, I felt it. Impatience, not panic, not fear. Just a quiet frustration of knowing I had turned an easy arrival into a delay. Traffic moved slowly, ships lining up with their own purposes and schedules. All of us waiting our turn whether we liked it or not. I could have tried to force it, jump the line, push for clearance, do something just to feel like I was moving again. Instead, I stayed where I was. I adjusted nothing. I watched. I let second measure idle while the station went about its business. That choice felt hard. And that alone told me it was the right one. While I waited, I looked at the station properly. Not as an obstacle, but as a place full of motion that did not revolve around me. Traffic patterns, approach vectors, the sheer volume of ships moving with purpose. I caught myself thinking, I cannot believe this. Not because of the delay, but because of how easily I had almost ignored it all just to be finished. I requested docking clearance and waited, no hovering, no edging forward, just holding position while the station decided when it was my turn when clearance came through. I handed control over to the docking system and let second measure follow the path laid out. The ride-in was slow and deliberate, the kind of pace that makes you notice structure, traffic, and spacing instead of just the destination. Pad 24 came into view, steady and unhurried, and I resisted the instinct to intervene. There is a discipline in letting systems do their job when they are designed to. As we descended, it struck me that patience is not always about waiting longer. Sometimes it is about trusting the process enough not to interfere. Back in the hangar, I walked around second measure again. The way I had before the run, the delay had cost time, nothing more, but it left something unsettled behind it. I wondered why Elias' friends had chosen this mission for me. Why this run? With nothing dramatic to teach me, then I remembered Elias telling me, years ago, to slow down even when things were going right. Especially then, I left the hangar with that thought still unanswered, and the sense that the lesson was not finished with me yet.